My name's Alistair, and I've been coming to the church here since I would say about a year, right? Probably a little bit more than a year. I was good friends with Carl, the legendary Carl, and he'd suggested this church. I grew up in a house where going to church was not a part of weekly life, and my mom had had a terrible experience when she was a young girl, and I think that had kind of shaped their view on religion. And so going to church wasn't really an option for me, except when my grandmother came to visit from overseas. My parents were Welsh, and my mother's father was a churchgoer, and so whenever she came, I went to church. When I always liked it, I always thought it was kind of neat. And my grandma passed away around 1987, I think. So I was around, 9 years old at that time. And so that was when, my regular kind of church going stopped, and I didn't really think much of it. One thing that happened to me when I was a young man is I became a father at the age of 17. That went over not very well for my parents, even though, they became quite wonderful grandparents. Being a young father had its challenges, but it's funny because when she was growing up, she'd come stay at my house every weekend. Her favorite nighttime story was stories out of the Bible. And I think I got a kind of a gift for storytelling, so we'd sit down and she'd beg me for one more story, And she always had lots of questions like, about Jesus, about God, and, Part of my story is, for the last 10 years, up until I moved to Nanaimo, I'd kind of let myself go. And addiction is a part of my story, so I was drinking and other things, living a kind of a life of excess and selfishness. And it hurt my daughter, it hurt my parents. And I needed help, I needed professional help. So I came to Nanaimo. Nanaimo's got a world-class treatment facility, and I'm so unbelievably grateful that I got to come. But a part of the journey when you get sober, if you're gonna kind of take it seriously, at least in my case, was to develop your faith, or at least a conception of a higher power. And I did that. It was pretty straightforward for me because I always knew that God existed. I was always really curious about spirituality. And I told my mom, it was about a year and a half ago, I said, yeah, I'm going to church. And I was expecting her to be a little bit, I don't know what I was expecting. I was expecting some kind of something. Oh, that's interesting, or something. And, her answer was, well, you've always been interested in the church, and I think I said, I think I might be a Christian, and I was expecting some kind of reaction. And she's like, oh, yeah, like, you've been talking about Jesus your whole life, she said. Which is kind of I didn't think that was true, but obviously she thought so. A little bit more than a year ago, my parents were killed in a car accident. And, it happened in an instant. They got to see me sober, which is something, I'm very grateful for. Because they got to see this person that they knew growing up. They got to see this kind of rebirth, this renaissance of Alistair coming back. And we had a Thanksgiving dinner. I went back and visited them, and they were just blown away. Because I wasn't drinking, wasn't interested in being a jerk. And I, at the airport, they dropped me off at the airport. I said, okay, I'll call you tomorrow. And my mom said, yeah, don't call me tomorrow. Just go and live your life, Alistair. And I was kind of hurt at the time. I'll never forget it. I was kind of hurt. I was like, oh, my mom doesn't want to talk to me. But it was like she'd actually felt comfortable for the first time in our lives together. Don't bother calling me. I know you're going to be okay now, kind of thing. And of course, they died a couple of days later. One thing that the neighborhood church is, and doesn't just say they are or pretend to be, is a place where people can belong and help each other. And it's something that you guys do probably every day, right? And I want to be of service. One thing that's important in my life right now is that I want to be a teacher and a history teacher. But I'll stick with teacher. You know, it's something that I think I always had a gift for, is working with kids and getting them inspired. And it's one thing that I really enjoy about my time here at the neighborhood church is I get to be involved with the Sunday school program, which is extremely rewarding. And love the kids. And, you know, I know I'm telling everyone right now, but I probably learn more about, you know, my faith in Sunday school than maybe even the kids do. But there you go.
The other question that we usually end with everyone is, if there was one or two things that you'd want Neighbourhood Church to know about you, what would it be?
If there was one thing?
Yeah, one.
I'm a dual citizen. The first time I traveled overseas by myself, I was 5 years old. Oscar the dog is a huge part of my life. I still have a place in Edmonton. It's where my daughter lives. I've jumped out of an airplane. I think I was a pretty funny kid. I have visited Europe over 25 times. Oh, I have met Rob Ford. I mean, yeah, in a liquor store. Done the bungee jumping, and I think I got a kind of a gift for storytelling. So I've worked for every political party in Canada, like the major ones. I'm related to